I told my dad why none of his 4 daughters have given him grandkids. It happened at Thanksgiving dinner last year. My father had just turned 63 and spent the entire meal talking about how his coworker's son just had twins. He kept glancing at me and my 3 sisters like we were faulty appliances that hadn't delivered on their warranty. Finally, he set down his fork and said the words that broke the dam. 4 daughters, 4 educated women, and not one of you can give me a single grandchild. What was the point of raising you? My oldest sister, Danielle, stared at her plate. She'd flown in from Seattle and hadn't been home in 2 years. My sister Brooke suddenly needed to use the bathroom. Camille just kept chewing, her jaw tight, but I was done pretending. You want to know why, Dad? I'll tell you. He leaned back with that look he always gave us, the one that said we were about to disappoint him again. I started with Danielle. I reminded him how she used to bring home paintings she made in art class. She was talented. Everyone said so. But he'd look at them for 3 seconds and ask why she wasn't spending that time on SAT prep instead. She hasn't painted anything in 15 years. Then Brooke. I told him about the time she got 2nd place in the state spelling bee at 11 years old. 2nd place out of 400 kids. He drove her home in complete silence and didn't speak to her for 3 days. She still apologizes for things that aren't her fault. Camille had it worst. She was the only one of us who wasn't naturally thin, so every meal became a performance review. He'd watch her plate like a surveillance camera. You sure you need that role? Became his signature phrase. She spent her entire 20s cycling through eating disorders. And me? I reminded him about my 8th birthday party. He missed it because of a work dinner. When I cried, he told me that tears were for weak people and that I needed to learn that the world didn't revolve around me. I was 8. He tried to cut me off. I pushed you girls because I wanted you to succeed, but I wasn't finished. I told him about the ranking system he never realized he created. Every report card, every award, every accomplishment. He'd compare us to each other constantly. Why can't you be more focused like Danielle? He'd say to Brooke. Camille actually tries. He'd tell me when I struggled in math. We grew up thinking we were in competition with our own sisters. We should have been allies. Instead, we spent years resenting each other for attention that was never really given anyway. I told him that all 4 of us are in therapy. Danielle has been on anxiety medication since law school. Brooke can't accept a compliment without deflecting it. Camille still weighs herself twice a day. And I spent 3 years convinced I was unlovable because I never felt like I was enough for anyone, ever. My dad's face shifted. He looked almost confused. I paid for everything, he said. Private school, dance lessons, college. I gave you girls the best life I could. I told him that money isn't love, providing isn't the same as parenting, and making your children feel like projects to be optimized instead of people to be cherished leaves scars that no tuition check can heal. He asked again what any of this had to do with grandchildren, so I explained. None of us want kids because we're terrified. Not of the responsibility, not of the cost. We're terrified that somewhere deep inside us, we inherited his voice. That critical, never satisfied, constantly measuring voice. And the idea of making a child feel the way we felt growing up, that fear is stronger than any desire for motherhood. Danielle told her husband she's infertile. She's not. She just can't imagine risking it. Brooke broke off an engagement because he wanted a big family. Camille got sterilized at 29 and never told anyone. And I ended a 4-year relationship with a man I loved because I couldn't promise him I'd ever feel safe enough to be someone's mother. The table went silent. My dad finally spoke. So this is all my fault? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You wanted to know why you don't have grandchildren. Now you know. You spent our entire childhood making us feel like we were never good enough. And now, none of us feel good enough to raise children of our own. He didn't apologize. He just sat there, staring at his plate like it held some answer he couldn't find. My sisters and I left together that night. For the first time in years, we talked. Really talked. In Danielle's rental car, we shared things we'd never said out loud. About the weight we'd been carrying. About the father we'd all been quietly mourning even though he was still alive. Camille said something I'll never forget. He wanted legacy. He wanted grandkids to brag about. But he forgot that legacy isn't just what you build. It's what you break. We spent Christmas together this year. Just the 4 of us. No guilt trips. No performance reviews. No rankings. Dad called once. I didn't answer. Some people earn the title of parent. Others just hold it like a receipt.